The thermometer on the wall of the guard post reads 38 degrees below zero, a temperature where breath turns instantly to ice crystals that hang suspended in the dead air. It is not merely cold. It is a physical weight that presses against the ancient brickwork of the fortress walls, preserving the secrets locked inside for centuries. The wind howls across the red square cobblestones at 40 kilometers per hour, carrying sharp granules of snow that scour the stone like sandpaper. Silence reigns over the square. This climate defeated Napoleon and halted Hitler, serving as the city's first and most ruthless line of defense against any who dared to conquer it. But beneath the freezing exterior lies a furnace of human ambition that has burned continuously for nearly 900 years. This is not just a capital city. It is a survivor of fires, revolutions, and radical reconstructions that have completely rewritten its geography time and time again. We are standing at the epicenter of Russian power. To understand this place, you must look past the colorful onion domes and see the steel skeleton beneath the skin. Moscow is a fortress disguised as a city. Its story begins not with grand monuments, but with a simple strategic decision made on a muddy riverbank in the year 1147. Prince Yuri Dolgoruki, a ruler with an eye for defensive terrain, looked upon the convergence of the Moskva and Neglinaya rivers and saw a natural moat. He invited his allies to a council in this remote outpost, ordering the construction of a wooden palisade to protect the small trading settlement. It was a humble start. The original walls were oak, susceptible to the flaming arrows of invading Mongol hordes who burned the site to ash in 1238. Yet the city refused to die. By the late 15th century, the wooden fortifications were replaced by the red brick colossus we see today, engineered not by locals but by imported genius. Ivan the Great summoned the renowned Italian architect Aristotle Fioravanti, who brought Renaissance engineering to the wild banks of the Moskva River. Fioravanti taught the local builders to bake bricks that were harder than stone and to drive oak pilings deep into the marshy soil to support massive cathedrals. You can still see his influence in the geometric precision of the Kremlin walls. The city grew in concentric circles like the rings of a tree, expanding outward from this central citadel, devouring forests and villages as it swelled. By the dawn of the 20th century, however, the medieval layout had become a suffocating noose. Narrow, twisting lanes filled with horse-drawn carts could not support a modern industrial metropolis. The Bolshevik Revolution of 1917 brought a new regime that viewed the city not as a historical artifact, but as a machine for living that needed to be completely overhauled. The true transformation began in the 1930s. Joseph Stalin signed the general plan for the reconstruction of Moscow in 1935, a document that would unleash the most aggressive urban surgery in history. Entire districts were condemned. To create the colossal avenues we see today, specifically Tverskaya Street, engineers did not just demolish buildings, they moved them. In a feat of engineering that baffles the mind even now, laborers severed the foundations of massive multi-story apartment blocks and government offices. They installed steel tracks beneath the load-bearing walls and used hydraulic jacks to roll thousands of tons of masonry backwards to widen the streets. Residents were often asleep inside their apartments while their entire building was shifted 50 meters back. A helicopter aerial over city archives today would reveal the altered property lines where these structures were dragged to new resting places. It was a display of absolute power over the physical world. Simultaneously, the skyline was being pierced by the known to the west as the Seven Sisters. These 7 skyscrapers were designed to rival the high-rises of Manhattan, serving as vertical monuments to Soviet ideology. The most imposing of them, the main building of Moscow State University, rises 240 meters into the clouds, topped by a 57-meter spire and a 12-ton star. Architect Lev Rudnev designed a structure so massive it required a steel frame weighing 40,000 tons to keep it upright in the soft soil. Construction crews battled the elements. Because the ground was often frozen or waterlogged, engineers used liquid nitrogen to freeze the soil around the foundations, creating a cryogenic wall that held back the groundwater while they poured concrete. It was a brute force application of physics that defined the era. These jagged silhouettes still dominate the horizon, creating a visual rhythm that guides the eye across the sprawling metropolis. They were built to last 1,000 years. However, the most impressive engineering in Moscow, Russia, is not what touches the sky, but what lies buried deep beneath the asphalt. The Moscow Metro is widely considered the most beautiful underground system in the world, but its construction was a war against geology. The soil beneath the capital is a treacherous mix of clay, limestone, and /plywood/, a deadly quicksand that can swallow excavation equipment whole. To conquer this, Lazar Kaganovich, the administrator in charge, mobilized an army of 75,000 workers. They worked in darkness. They utilized caissons, pressurized chambers, to keep the water out, a technique that caused many workers to suffer from decompression sickness, similar to deep-sea divers. The stations they built were not mere transport hubs, they were underground palaces clad in marble, granite, and stainless steel. The Mayakovskaya station, with its stainless steel columns and Art Deco mosaics, became a bomb shelter during World War II. During the air raids of 1941, thousands of citizens took refuge on the platforms deep underground, while Stalin himself gave a speech to the Moscow Soviet in the station's main hall. The depth of the system was strategic. Park Pobedi Station, opened much later, sits 84 meters underground, accessible only by one of the longest escalators in Europe, taking 3 minutes to descend. But rumors persist of a deeper, darker network known as Metro 2 or D6. State defectors and urban explorers have long whispered about a parallel system of secret tunnels built to evacuate the government leadership from the Kremlin to bunkers in the Ramenki district. While the Russian government has neither confirmed nor fully denied its existence, abandoned shafts and unexplained ventilation towers suggest a labyrinth of classified infrastructure hidden right under the feet of commuters. A drone flying through clouds above the Moskva River captures the duality of the city today. The river itself is a controlled entity, constrained by granite embankments and navigated by cargo ships in harbor zones that feed the city's appetite for goods. In the Soviet era, the course of the river was altered, and the water level raised through a system of canals connecting it to the Volga, turning Moscow into a port of 5 seas. This required flooding vast areas of land and displacing thousands of villagers, a price paid for maritime access. Today, the city is pivoting again. The skyline cranes of the Moscow International Business Center, or Moscow City signal a new era of capitalist ambition. This cluster of super-tall skyscrapers rises like a shard of glass from the Prisninskaya embankment, challenging the dominance of the Seven Sisters. The Federation Tower, reaching 374 meters, stands as one of the tallest buildings in Europe. Its construction site aerial view shows a triangular footprint designed to withstand the harsh wind loads we felt at the beginning of our journey. Glass reflects the clouds. But this modern district is not just about height, it is about density and technology. The Evolution Tower twists a full 90 degrees from base to tip, mimicking the structure of a DNA molecule, a symbol of the city's evolving genetic code. At street level, pedestrians crossing busy intersection points in this district are tracked by one of the world's most comprehensive facial recognition systems. The city has transformed into a smart fortress, where fiber optics and algorithms have replaced the stone walls and wooden palisades of the past. Beneath the shiny veneer of the financial district, the old infrastructure still pulses. Operating heavy machinery in the dead of night, crews constantly repair the aging heating pipes that keep the city alive. Moscow operates the world's largest district heating system, a labyrinth of hot water pipes that would wrap around the equator if laid end-to-end. Without this hidden arterial network, the modern skyscrapers and the historic apartments alike would freeze within 48 hours during the bitter winter. Survival is the priority. Recently, urban planners have sought to soften the concrete jungle. Zaryadye Park, located just steps from the Kremlin, represents a new philosophy. Instead of a fortress, it is an open landscape that recreates the diverse botanical zones of Russia, from tundra to steppe. Its floating bridge cantilevers 70 meters out over the river without a single support column, a daring feat of tension and balance that allows tourists to hover above the water. It stands on the site of the demolished Hotel Rossiya, once the largest hotel in the world, proving that in Moscow nothing is permanent except change itself. Looking to the future, the city faces the same climate challenges as the rest of the world, but with a uniquely Russian twist. As winters become unpredictable, the freeze-thaw cycles wreak havoc on the concrete and asphalt. Architects pointing at models of future districts are now prioritizing resilient materials that can withstand rapid temperature fluctuations. The city is expanding its metro system at a breakneck pace, aiming to double its length, sending boring machines churning through the earth to connect the distant suburbs with the gleaming core. Moscow, Russia, remains a paradox. It is a city of immense weight and stone, yet it is constantly in flux, shifting its shape to match the will of its rulers. It has survived the torches of the Mongols, the Grand Armée of Napoleon, and the tanks of the Nazis. From the red brick of the Kremlin to the cold glass of the Federation Tower, every structure here is a testament to the will to endure. This is a place where history is not just remembered, it is engineered. The city stands as a monument to human resilience in the face of impossible odds and unforgiving geography. It reminds us that cities are not just collections of buildings, but living organisms that grow, heal, and armor themselves against the cold. As the sun sets and the cinematic fog over rooftops begins to glow with the amber light of street lamps, the fortress settles in for another long, cold night, ready to face whatever tomorrow brings.